everybody, my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel. It's currently almost midnight, which I used to be more of a morning person, but lately I am loving the nighttime, and I mean it fits my vibe better. It's a great time to write horror stories and share all of my chaotic musings with you. So here we are. Today I'm going to be doing a little Q&A, which I'm really excited about. I had you guys ask me questions on Instagram, which if you're not following me, check me out at Mirrors Podcast. And yeah, hopefully this will help you get to know me a little bit better. But before we get into that, more of like a general introduction for those of you who are new to my channel and don't know me. My name again is Gabby. I am a horror writer and I host the paranormal podcast Mirrors, Horrors, History, and Hauntings. I'm also at a very special point in my life where I am living in the very haunted town of Gettysburg. So this is a great time for me to share everything I'm learning about the paranormal, spirituality, being an investigator, and then, you know, the content creator aspect of that, all of it. I'm so excited to just document my journey and share it all with you. So let's get into these questions. I've got my ghost blanket, my ghost pillow, and my ghost mug. So life is good. All right, question number 1. Haunted place you'd most like to investigate? I have 2 that are at like the top of my paranormal bucket list. The Lizzie boarding house was up there, but I got to go there back in November. And I'd say the location that truly like fascinates me and just I have so many questions about it and would love to be able to go there and do an investigation and just like have time to really delve into the story and research as much as possible. That is the Winchester Mystery House. Sarah Winchester just like is so interesting to me. I think that the aspect of grief in her story is I don't know, it feels very like personal to me. I don't know why I feel very connected to that story. So yeah, Winchester Mystery House. I'm gonna manifest it, make it happen for the podcast. And then also Dracula's Castle, just like anything associated with vampires. I'm all in, and I know that like the story of Vlad Dracul isn't, you know, really a vampire story, but it inspired a really great one. So I would love to go to Dracula's Castle. All right, next question. We're going right in with this one. Are ghosts real? I wish I could give you the definitive answer. In my opinion, they are. And I've had experiences that lead me to believe that. Experiences that truly have no explanation. And I know you might not believe me when I say this, but I definitely have a very scientific based mind, and I try to debunk everything that I experience, and there's just some things that are totally unexplainable. So I do believe in ghosts, and especially going to places with really traumatic histories, or even just, you know, a very important time in history, like places marked by those events. I believe that energy lives on and exists in some way. I believe that human spirit can manifest past the point of a physical death, and yeah, that's my belief. I think that I still have a lot of questions around it, but what I think is so cool about the paranormal is being able to ask those questions in a space that inspires creativity and curiosity. So the answer I'm going to give you, take it or leave it, is yes. Oh, I love this one. One paranormal experience you want to have. I've had such a wide range of experiences. Like I've seen apparitions, I've heard voices, I've captured voices on audio, I've felt things touch me. Yeah, I've had a very wide variety of experiences. I can tell you what I wouldn't want to happen. When we were at the Grand Midway Hotel, the owner was telling us that one of the main paranormal experiences reported is in the canopy room, which is known as the most haunted room. And people wake up to a woman like over them screaming in their face, "Get out." And I think something that intense and unexpected would definitely make me rethink like this whole career. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would want something like that. Also, like being physically harmed, the stories of people being like scratched and blood is drawn, like I don't know about that. Like people getting choked, well, maybe that wouldn't be too bad. Anyway, something I would love to happen more is capturing EVPs, which are electronic voice phenomena, with the belief being that spirit voices are captured on audio recordings, even if they aren't heard by the human ear in real time. One of my favorite experiences was here in Gettysburg on Sachs Bridge. I was just sitting there doing my thing and a couple showed up and they're like, "Hey, is it cool if we get out some ghost equipment?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why I'm here too." So they got out a voice recorder, and first question they asked, I believe they said, "Is there anyone here?" They played back the recording and, you know, I was totally silent. They were silent. There wasn't anyone around us. There wasn't any movement on the bridge that would have caused this noise. I don't even know if they were holding the recorder. I think it was like laying down, and they played it back. And right after the first question, there was a scream. And there was no denying like what it was. It didn't sound remotely like someone shuffling or whatever. It was a real, raw, human scream that came through that recorder. And I will never forget, like we all looked at each other like, "You heard that too, right?" And it was heartbreaking, but also really interesting because there was nothing that we could think of to debunk it. And just, I wish I could like have access to that still just to hear it again, because it was so undeniable that that's what it was. And then that voice that I caught in the Gettysburg orphanage basement, which I believe is the little girl saying hello, I didn't hear it in real time. I heard it, I had like my microphone recording and I heard it a little bit on that very faintly, but then when I played it back on my camera audio, I heard it very clearly. And just things like that is like, it feels closer to the actual spirits, like it's them, it's their voice. I would love to have that happen more because, you know, getting activity with the equipment is obviously really cool, but I don't know, that's just like a whole different thing. So I guess that's the answer to my question. Like the paranormal experience I'd like to have is just more EVPs and more unique experiences with hearing spirit voices. Oh, you guys are really getting me with this one. Fave horror movie. Oh my god. I don't know, so many. I will say that despite like my love of horror and all things paranormal, there are so many great horror movies that I still need to watch. Like a lot of classics and things that people mention to me, I'm like, yeah, I haven't seen that one. They're like, okay, what about this one? No, haven't seen that. So there's a lot that I still need to watch, but I mean, I mention The Conjuring every time I talk about the horror genre just because of how that whole series has influenced my own work and my interest in the genre in general. Especially the second Annabelle movie, I love that one. The first Conjuring, obviously iconic, so I love those movies. And Jennifer's Body comes to mind. It's just like, it's so fun and unique, and just one that I can watch over and over again and never get tired of. Another one, I have to watch it again. Like I saw it a while ago, but it is like still a newer movie. Last Night in Soho. I remember really loving that movie and I want to watch it again. But yeah, there's just so many. There's so many. I saw Companion the other day. Like that was really good. That's what I love about horror specifically. So there's just so many different possibilities. And as a writer, it's really exciting. So yeah, I can't give you a great answer on that one because I just have so many answers I would love to say. Go to coffee order. Well, I have a good answer for this one because I'm obsessed with coffee and I will always, always order an almond milk cappuccino. Always. And nobody asked, but in case you're curious, my cocktail of choice is a Cosmo because I'm in my Sex and the City era and I believe I am the emo Gary Bradshaw. So yeah. What is your writing process like? How do you get into the zone to write? Well, kind of going off of the last question, coffee helps me, and not just because it's caffeine and helps me focus and gives me the will to live, but also one thing that helps me so much when I am experiencing writer's block or just need some inspiration is a change in environment. One thing I love to do is put on like a fun outfit and go to a coffee shop, get a cute little cappuccino and just like sip it as I absorb everyone's energy who's coming in. It's just a very inspiring environment for me, so that's something that I try to do a few times a week. I mean, I try to make coffee at home and like save money, but you know, at the end of the day, most of my money is going to be going toward cappuccinos. So yeah, I love doing that. Another thing that helps me get in the mood to write is, again, like environment changes, being outside, going for a walk. If I just need like a minute to kind of breathe and like be away from technology, like I love just walking through the woods. Being in Gettysburg is amazing because I just get inspiration from being in this town, so then being able to have it right outside my door and like go for a walk on the battlefield is really special. I love music too, like just I associate certain songs with characters, or I'll just like see a scene happening in my head and it just helps me like find words that I didn't know were there, like I just couldn't, they were on the tip of my tongue, I couldn't get to them, and then that music just like helps everything fall into place. So always like doing that. A fun thing that I do is like put in my AirPods and blast some music, which is probably not good for my ears, but it helps me write. And then I'll just like dance and just like moving my body, getting in that mind-body alignment, and having some like organic movement, and it's just this very like inspiring thing for me, and yeah, helps me write. Do you have a favorite episode or favorite place you visited? Honestly, the Lizzie Borden house. Like, I love every place that I've gone to for my podcast, and every location like helps me learn something new. I had amazing experiences and I met really cool people, but the Lizzie Borden house, I don't think I was expecting like what it ended up being. Obviously I knew it was very haunted, it's been at the top of my list, like I knew the basics of the story, but actually being there and learning how many different like unexpected details went into this case, and just the overall story of Lizzie Borden's life, like there's just so much to it. And even after being there, now I'm like writing my scripts, doing my research, there's so much to it. It's such an interesting case. And then the house itself, I didn't research any like specific paranormal encounters. I just went into it like with an open mind, and I was shocked at everything that happened, and I can't wait to tell you about all of it because it was an insane experience. But yeah, I would say that's my favorite, just because, I mean, I guess it's like the freshest in my mind, but also just like I learned so much. I went into it with an open mind and really got to take it all in, and ended up being a really worthwhile, crazy night. When did you decide to start a podcast, and what was the process like getting started? Well, in another era of my life, I hosted a podcast called Not Quiet, Just Thinking, which was much more of a like unscripted, personal storytelling podcast about my life, finding my voice as a writer. I talked a lot about mental health and grief and everything that came along with being a 20-year-old college student, all of that. So that was a very different project. I honestly, like, one day very spontaneously went out, bought a microphone, recorded my first episode and uploaded it. It was kind of going against the idea of me being quiet. Like, I grew up just being a more quiet person, and I think a lot of people perceive that to be like, oh, she's shy, or like she doesn't have anything to say, and I don't know, it gave me a bit of a complex. But this was me saying, actually, I do have a lot I want to say. I have a lot of ideas, and I'm ready to embrace my voice. Every step of the process was like spontaneous. That's the only word I can really think of to describe it. So it was very much unstructured and inconsistent, but it meant the world to me and just made me fall in love with audio storytelling as this very personal space. So flash forward to me being in Los Angeles and realizing how deep I am into my obsession with the paranormal. And I wanted to start a new podcast. I wanted to take a new approach to it, where like I spent a lot of time in pre-production. Like, I knew that. And I'm on the Queen Mary. I'm like, I need to do a paranormal podcast. I need to put more energy into this whole thing. And so that's what I did. I spent months and months researching and writing and traveling and like making social media graphics and all of it before I even announced that the podcast was a thing. So it was a very different process from my first show. I learned so much from my first show that helped me in the development of Mirrors. And yeah, I mean, that was just kind of like how I got started with it. Again, I do every element of the show on my own. I do the writing of the scripts, the editing, recording, editing of the audio, social media. I do all of it, and it's such a cool learning experience. If you're interested in starting a podcast, I would say like just start. I've learned everything as I've gone, and like I still have a lot to learn. I'm not saying I'm a pro at any of it, but yeah, like that's how I got started, was really just getting started. And then for Mirrors, like just having more time doing the pre-production and development helped me kind of create a better routine for like how the show has then been produced since. And the why of it is just like, I love the paranormal. It's something I can talk about forever, and I will always be an advocate for following your passions and doing what you love and what makes you happy. So yeah. All right, final question. How do you organize your filming days? Still figuring that one out. My goal for 2025 was to create a creative routine, and like my podcast is a part of that, the YouTube channel, my other writing projects. So like there's a lot of different creative outlets that I want to put time and energy into and really dedicate myself and work hard to make them happen. So my day-to-day structure has been a big thing for me lately, and I'm still like learning and adjusting and trying to make things work. It's tough when you're trying to figure it out, but I think like just having openness to that process as well, and learning about yourself along the way is a big part of it. That being said, like flexibility is really important to me. Like some episodes take longer to research and write because there's just more to learn. Like the Lizzie Borden house, I ended up making that into a 3-part series because there's just so much to talk about. So like I don't keep the same structure each week. Like I would love to be like, okay, Monday's recording day, Tuesday's editing, Wednesday's YouTube filming. Like I would love to be that organized. I'm just not. And I think what helps me is just sitting down on a Sunday and saying, okay, this is what this week is gonna look like. So I'm still creating goals for each day, and I'm trying my best to stick to them. I'm not saying that always happens, but yeah, just like allowing flexibility week to week, but then also making each week as structured as I possibly can. For filming days in particular, I love to spend time in the morning just like having a slow routine, and then like getting some movement in, whether that's doing Pilates or going out for a walk, going to the gym, whatever. Getting movement in, doing like an everything shower, then putting on some music, doing my makeup, taking some time to just like feel good and get in a good headspace. It just like boosts my confidence and gets me ready to sit down in front of the camera. And self-care is always a big thing for me, but I think it's a big part of my filming days, especially just to feel my best and to be able to show up as myself. I'd also say spontaneity is a big part of that as well. Like, yes, being structured, but I think spontaneity is a huge part of creativity. So there's some days where I'm like, hey, it's a beautiful sunset and I want to get outside. I'm gonna grab my camera and go film a vlog. Like, just allowing for that as well, keeping space for that freedom and exploration in your own creative journey. That's been when I've created some of my favorite videos. So yeah, and I find myself like the hardest part of it is actually turning on the camera, like getting my equipment set up, turning on the camera, sitting down and starting. Once I'm actually doing it, it is fine. Like, I don't know if it's just me, but there's like this mental block about actually just starting it. But once I start, I'm having the best time. I'm in a flow. And honestly, like if I film a YouTube video, I find myself like, okay, like what TikTok did I film now? Like, I just get into a flow and I just embrace that and go with it and film as much as I can. So hopefully that answered your question. Like, having structure and being organized, but also giving yourself some freedom to have fun with it, because it can be fun. And it should be. That is all of the questions we have. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a question. And if you have something you'd like to ask, feel free to drop it in the comments and we will totally do this again. In the meantime, make sure you're subscribed so that you don't miss any new videos. I post on Fridays and then my podcast audio goes up on Tuesdays. I'll be posting those Lizzie Borden episodes for my season 2 finale, so that's very exciting. I'm also filming some investigations this week, so lots of fun content coming very soon. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, stay spooky. I'm gonna go fall asleep to a horror movie now. They help me relax.